us about Diamond in the Rough and your character in the film?
Diamond in the Rough is golf rom-com. I would say leaning even more on the comedy side. And my character is Jason. He's kind of this goofy but somewhat charming guy, just because he's a very authentic character and true to himself. But yeah, he's really just this little goofy guy that's kind of lost in the world and trying to figure it out.
Samantha have such a great chemistry on screen. How were the two of you able to build that bond?
Sam and I, we both actually kind of came into the film pretty quick. So I think it was just, she's super good at her craft. She's an amazing actress, very experienced. And, I think that it was just one of those things that you couldn't have asked for it to work any better. It just kind of happened and we were able to basically mesh as soon as we met.
This is your feature film debut. Congratulations, by the way. Did anything surprise you about the experience? What's been the biggest takeaway?
Thank you. I think the biggest takeaway is content and the creation of content is changing, and I think the streamers have definitely noticed that lately. And I think that through this film and through Creator Plus, it's gonna start becoming even more important and noticeable that people are consuming so much content now that they're able to identify when something's authentic and when it's not. And I think a lot of people have been struggling to realize that from the traditional film space. So, I think Creator Plus has done an amazing job at keeping up with the culture and doing something new and fresh and bringing in the right people to do it. So I think that's something that everyone's going to take away from this film is uh, just how great they did and how amazing of a job they did at keeping up with today's times.
Segue to this next question, but you got your start as a content creator and you're quickly building an impressive acting resume. Has acting always been a passion of yours?
Yeah, it's definitely always been a passion. I just love content, and I've done a lot of the short form, TikTok, YouTube, and I think that in order to take content creation to the next level, obviously film and TV is the place to go. And I just hope that I get to continue doing that and learning the ins and outs of both the producing side and being in front of the camera.
And prior to Diamond in the Rough, you also worked on a television series, like you were just saying. How do those two filming experiences differ, and how similar were they?
This movie we shot it in 17 days. So it was super quick, super fast. With TV, I think there's a little bit more time to settle and learn your script and really sit down and think about what you're doing. And I think that, this was very challenging in the fact that it moved so fast, and you really had to dive into your character from day one. So that was probably the most like differentiating thing between this film and TV.
In addition to acting, you're also an entrepreneur. Often in this industry, people will try and put you into certain box. Has it been a challenge for you to introduce the different sides of your talent and your craft?
Yeah, you kind of said it. People, always have biases, especially when you're coming from the social media world. And I think that it's actually easier to convince people that you're, something bigger than what they see you as. Obviously, you just have to, prove that through your work. And I think that a lot of people think it's difficult because they get discouraged. But what I've learned is, just by pushing through, I've been able to convince a lot of people, that I'm more than just a TikTok kid with an iPhone, which is great. I'm very blessed that I came from there, but it's definitely not as hard to pivot out, I think, is what people say it is. You just got to try.
Yeah, and you're also a producer on this film. How did that come to fruition? And what did you learn from working behind the scenes that you were able to apply to your work on camera and also in the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but part of producing this film is people just through the pandemic, especially, have just consumed so much content, and you can see it with the ads and even like the kind of content that's being put out and promoted. um, it's just people have gotten a lot smarter. You can't do the same commercials, you can't do the same formats as that used to work because people can see through it. And I think that that transition is kind of what made sense for me to produce this movie, and what Creator Plus is doing, is having people that have their finger on the pulse from not only traditional filmmaking side, but also from the culture and the content creation and the way that things are being shaped and developed. So that's how that kind of happened. That's how that made sense. And the reason that I was there is to kind of help curate that.
The film drops later this month. Is there a scene that you're really excited for your fans to see?
um, I think my favorite scene, just from an acting perspective, is probably me in the golf cart with Sam. We're sitting there and I'm telling my story and my background. Um, and I think that that's my favorite scene just because, it's really hard to tell a story from someone else that you never
Mm.
lived. And I think that was probably the most challenging part of the film for me to act in, was telling that story of someone else that I never lived.
Yeah, you do such a brilliant job balancing both the dramatic moments with the comedy. For you as an actor, is one more challenging than the other?
I'm a lot better at being funny than I am than I am dramatic. So those scenes, I had to get an acting coach for all of them, and she had to kind of like talk me through and get my head right.
Mm.
Sam definitely made it easier though because she's such a fantastic actress. And everyone else that was in the film, it really heightened me, and I think that's what made it easier. But those dramatic scenes, those are those are a little bit more challenging for me.
One of Creator Plus's mission is to create impact driven projects, and Diamond in the Rough uses comedy to explore themes of gender equality and class dynamics. What has it meant to you to be a part of a project that's pushing this type of storytelling forward?
Yeah, I think, especially, and this goes back to once again kind of like the culture. These issues and these problems have been highlighted at an all-time high in the past couple of years. And I think that whenever you add comedy to something, it takes the serious edge off of it, and not in a way that like diminishes the meaning or the how important it is, but it just makes it a little bit easier to talk about. It allows people to kind of wrap their heads around it without feeling like they're being attacked. And I think this film does an amazing job at doing that. Is bringing these to light, obviously showcasing that they're a huge problem in the world and that people recognize it, but not shoving it in their face in a way that it forces them to really, you know, be okay with it, or like settle with the fact that someone's trying to push their agenda onto them. So um, I would say that's probably the most powerful thing about this film.
Creator Plus is going to continue to make new content and partner with content creators like yourself. If you could give advice to actors who are making a similar transition like yourself, what would it be and why?
I said this on a panel yesterday, and I really like this. My advice is, content creators want people to take them serious as actors and actresses. Um, and I think that it's important that they take the time to really learn the space. They want actors and actresses to respect content creators, and I think that a lot of them walk in with an ego, or walk in with the fact that, oh, I have 20 million followers, you should respect me. And it's just a completely different world. There's a lot of work that goes into making a movie, and being able to sit on camera and actually perform well. And I think that a lot of people see it as, I don't know, that you're forcing yourself into a world that you're not ready for and you haven't put the work into, because some of these people, will audition for 10 years, 20 years, like, and still not get a big role. So it's just making sure that you're aware of how film is, and taking the time to understand and how the industry works. that's my biggest piece of advice, is putting in the work, putting in the time, and really understanding what it means.